I never thought I'd be telling you this story. I mean, I've always heard these kinds of things happen to other people, right? The stuff you read about in survival books or watch in movies. But here I am, telling you about the time I needed a medical evacuation from a remote island. It started like any other trip. A solo adventure to get away from it all, recharge, and experience a new part of the world. I found this beautiful little island, secluded, pristine beaches, the whole thing. There were only a handful of people there, mostly locals and a couple of other tourists. But what I didn't realize, how quickly things could change. I was doing something I thought would be harmless, just a small hike through the jungle. The kind of hike that, in my mind, felt like a breeze. No big deal. I'd done hikes before. Hell, I had an app on my phone that tracked my steps like I was some kind of seasoned explorer. But the moment I stepped into the brush, I felt it. My foot slipped. The ground was wet from rain the night before, and before I could even register what happened, my ankle twisted. I fell hard. Not a graceful oops fall, more like a sudden snap. My whole body jolted, and I couldn't get up. At first, I thought it was just a sprain. I could still move my toes, still wiggle my foot, but damn, it hurt. I thought I could just sit there for a bit, rest, and walk back. Maybe take it slow, but nothing serious. But then it hit me. The pain wasn't going away. It was sharp, and it felt like it was getting worse with each passing minute. I looked around. I had no cell signal, no way to call anyone. And that's when panic started to creep in. The island was small, sure, but that didn't mean I could just stroll to safety. And if I stayed there too long, well, I'd be in a real mess. I had no choice but to crawl back to the main area of the island. It felt like the longest trek of my life. I couldn't put any weight on my ankle, and every little movement sent waves of pain through my body. The worst part? The island's only medical help was a tiny clinic that was hours away by boat. When I finally made it to the small hotel where I was staying, I could barely get to the door. I knocked, and luckily, a staff member helped me inside. They called the clinic, and I was told it could be another couple of hours before someone could come to help me. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't going to make it. I knew I needed to get to a hospital, and quickly. But how? I hadn't planned for something like this. I hadn't even thought about the possibility of meeting something like a medical evacuation. And that's when I remembered. I had actually signed up for something before I left. Some travel insurance plan that seemed like a good idea at the time, but I didn't think much of it. I logged in to check and found something amazing. They offered medical evacuation coverage. I was in shock. I didn't even know what the next step was, but within a few hours, a boat and a small plane arrived to transport me to a larger island where I could get proper medical care. In that moment, I truly realized how much I had taken for granted. How easily things can go from relaxed to urgent. How vulnerable we can be in places far from home. I'll never forget that feeling of relief when I realized I was going to make it out. If I didn't have that coverage, I don't know how I would have gotten help. I could have ended up stranded on that island, waiting for hours or even days to get proper medical care. And that's when I discovered something crucial. When you're traveling to places like remote islands, you've got to make sure you're covered. Not just for the usual stuff, but for emergencies. Because you never know when things will go south. A lot of people think travel insurance is just a waste of money, that it's something you'll never need. I get it. I used to think the same thing. But after that trip, I realized it's one of those things you don't want to skimp on. For me, it wasn't just some policy I bought. It was a lifeline. And that's why I'm telling you about Aura's.insure today. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not getting anything out of it. But trust me, it's something I use and rely on. It saved me once, and I honestly don't know what I would have done without it. So if you're planning a trip soon, especially somewhere remote or off the beaten path, don't wait until you're in a crisis. Make sure you have solid travel insurance. A little peace of mind can go a long way. Trust me, you don't want to learn this lesson the hard way like I did.